Hey everyone, I just listened to an awesome webinar from the Learning Technology Center of Illinois about the 12 best practices in e-learning, and I got a ton of information from the webinar. So I'm going to try to condense it for you and pass it along to you so that you can hopefully get some good tips too. Um, so like I said, the presenter was really knowledgeable from the Learning Technology Center of Illinois. She's like a former classroom teacher, and she had also worked in a lot of international schools, and she had gotten a lot of feedback from specifically international schools who have also gone through a lockdown in this whole quarantine um, kind of area. And so she got feedback from them about what worked and what didn't work in e-learning. And then that's how she put together this list. So the first piece of advice that the presenter gave was no new tools. So she said that right now, in the beginning of our e-learning work, is not the time to be introducing new technology tools to the kids that they're not familiar with. I know that a lot of the classroom teachers have already reiterated this sentiment too, that they're only using digital tools with their kids that they've already used in the classroom. She did say though that if you are an educator looking for like some anchor digital tools to use, she said that she would start off with Flipgrid and Padlet. So if you haven't used Flipgrid or Padlet and you're interested, reach out to myself and Damari and we can get you set up with that because those would be great places to start. Tip number two from the presenter had to do with parent communication. Um, she suggested that we as teachers should be letting parents know upfront how often they can expect to hear from us. I know that we're all sending the daily email right now. She suggested that as we go, the daily email would probably be not necessary. Parents don't need to hear from us every day, but just letting them know upfront right now, parents, you can expect to hear from me in one email every morning until further notice would probably be a good idea if you haven't done that yet. And the second thing going along with parent communication that she recommended was letting parents know when you'll respond to their emails. I think a lot of us are starting to feel totally overwhelmed with the amount of communication that we're getting from students and parents on top of what we're getting from the district. So she recommended being really clear with setting office hours and letting parents know that you'll be available from, for example, 9 to 11 in the morning and maybe 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. or whatever works best for you. And then clearly letting parents know that the expectation is that you'll reply during those times. And she suggested even putting it in like your email signature in Outlook, putting your office hours on there for e-learning, or also she said having the vacation responder on so that during your like out of office hours, parents will get a kickback knowing when they can expect to hear back from you. Tip number three, she recommended every day trying to send out a live video saying hello to your students, just as an opportunity for them to see your face and for them to see you working in your home so that they know that you're also in this same boat with them in e-learning. She recommended using Flipgrid as the platform for that if you don't have another platform that's already working for you. So again, if you haven't had the chance to push out a live video showing yourself to the students and saying hi, and that's something that you're interested in doing, reach out to myself or Damari and we can help get that going for you. Tip number four, the presenter really stressed that we shouldn't be trying to recreate a school day, which I know we've also been hearing from our administrators too. There's no way that our e-learning is going to look like the classroom does right now, and that's okay. So we just have to shift our mindset and be comfortable with the idea that it's going to look different. When she talked about tip number four, trying to recreate an e-learning day, she gave a really good piece of advice, which I had never considered before. She said that when you're planning for e-learning, plan for your slowest student. And so she explained that whatever you think the slowest student in your class would be able to complete in about 5 hours, start there. And I feel like that flows into tip number five, lessen the workload. Um, Let me go back to my notes really quick. So the presenter said that online learning actually takes twice as long as traditional classroom learning can take. So we've got to think of ways to lessen the workload for our kids and for ourselves so that all of us are doing manageable, sustainable work. A suggestion that she made that I really liked was to consider going down to two subjects a day. I know a lot of us have initially tried to give a similar type of school day to the kids where we're bouncing in between all of the subjects that we normally do. She suggested, if you're up for it, trying to do on Monday, we're going to do reading and writing and one special. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do math and science and another special. And so that goes right into number 6 about giving checklists, along with lessening the workload and shortening the amount of subjects that students are working on. Make sure that you're giving them some kind of parameter or an idea of like what's their end target at the end of the day. What are 2 or 3 tasks that you really want them to prioritize and finish by the end of the day? And letting them know ahead of time, maybe in your start with hello morning message, you can tell them that these, I want you to complete this, this, and this by the end of your e-learning day. Um, Number 7 was don't focus on technology. And I loved this tip because she explained that in this e-learning platform, of course, the kids are going to be drowning in apps and devices and different things like that. And so our role should really be thinking of any time that we can push kids off of the screen, let's take advantage of that. So going along with number 9, using the home, she said, consider having the kids write like directions on how to play a game or find a recipe or like all of that technical text that a lot of us always talk about wanting to incorporate. Now's the time. Find some board game directions or anything like that. And she suggested having them take the real world text, snap a picture of it, and then upload it onto the whatever e-learning platform you're using. So that was don't focus on technology and use the home. Number 8 was go slow. She suggested doing things slowly and in phases because, as I think we're all feeling, it can be really overwhelming to look at all of these e learning lesson plans that we have to create. So she suggested that teachers should start by thinking about that last day of school. What were the lessons that you still didn't complete? And thinking about how you could wrap those up and close those lessons and finish those first. Then, once you feel like you've wrapped up the lessons that you were kind of in the middle of, or at least the learning progressions you were in the middle of, then take the next slow step. Pick one subject at a time. What do you think is essential? What do you think is the most important learning that the kids need to know and be able to do? And then start there. And of course, depend on your team and your colleagues to do that team planning. Number 10, 11, and 12, I feel like are kind of self explanatory. Number 10 is stay flexible. I've heard all of you already saying and showing that you're being flexible every single day with the kids, but just remind ourselves that we don't know what kind of a work environment they're in. They might have a mom and a dad and 2 other siblings that are currently working on e-learning, and it's crowded and loud in their house right now. They might be working home alone because their parents are still having to go to work, and so they're kind of in charge of their own learning. So just thinking about all the different variables and ways that kids are learning at home, making sure that we're not penalizing them, making sure that we're staying in contact with them, supporting them, and being flexible to letting them complete the work at their pace and what works for them. Number 11 was create a schedule for yourself. The presenter referenced, that colorful, I think it's labeled like COVID-19 daily schedule that's been floating around Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. She recommended, of course, we want to suggest to the parents try to keep some kind of schedule for your kids, but also as teachers, we have to create a daily schedule for ourselves. And this is something that right after the webinar I took and I did in my own Outlook calendar. Set a daily wake up time for yourself. Maybe say that by 7:30 you're going to be in your e-learning workspace with a cup of coffee and you're going to give yourself from 7:30 to 8 o'clock to check your emails. Then maybe from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock you're going to take a look at some type of exit slip or formative assessment that you gave to students, and you're going to go through the slips and come to some understanding from them, or and go through your day and chunk it out like that so that you're not feeling overwhelmed, and make sure that you know when you're stopping your day, and when that time comes, close your computer and go enjoy your night. And that goes along with number 12, give yourself a break. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. We've got to stay flexible and we've got to be patient with ourselves. This is a trial and error time for all of us. We're going to make mistakes. That's how we're going to learn. It's a learning curve. But you guys are doing amazing things. You're doing it, it's happening, it's working. So we're just going to keep going day by day. Lean on us, your teammates, Lisa and Sarah. We're all in it together. We're here to help you. I hope this was helpful, and reach out if there's anything else that we can do. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.